Here's another custom video from the monthly questions thread. This one's from Debbie, who asks, I'm a beginner, creative non-fiction writer, mostly writing little stories from little things I remember. Even though I'm not writing a novel, I'm still trying to write good stories. My question has to do with taking time to try and get things published along the way. Do you feel like that's a distraction or a helpful motivator? This is a great question, probably something I should talk a bit more about generally. I'll always try to give you both sides of the argument when it comes to questions about writing, because the last thing I want to do is just inflict my opinion on you. But in this case, I will say I'm very much in favour of getting your work out there as soon as you're comfortable and as soon as you think the work is ready. There's an argument that it'll help you get your name out there or help build a catalogue of your writing and help you establish a presence as a writer, etc. And all of that can absolutely be true and it can be really useful. However, I think the biggest advantage to doing this is what you actually experience yourself when you go through this process. Finishing a piece of work to a point where you're happy for someone else to read it too takes a lot of work and it takes guts. Marking that occasion and giving yourself that sense of accomplishment by sending it off to be read by someone is a great way to bolster yourself and to feel like a real writer. Of course, we don't need anyone's permission to write. Of course we don't. There's no such thing as a real writer. But there's always doubts and imposter syndrome creeping in. I get plenty of both myself, pretty much constantly. But there's no time where I feel more like a real writer than when I'm submitting my work. I tend to find it makes you feel like you've accomplished something. It gives you a sense of completion for that piece of work and a reason to finally stop tinkering with it and call it done, which is really useful. And it's just a statement of support for yourself, and that can work wonders for your confidence and for your motivation as a writer. And all of that is before it's even been accepted anywhere. But if you can manage to see your name in print or online, it's just really satisfying. It gives you something to take note of, to write into your bio, to add to a list of your accomplishments or accolades as a writer. All of that is well worth the price of being brave enough to send something out. If you're writing a longer book, then working on shorter pieces can be a way to maintain your energy and your enthusiasm without burning out. And it can break up your patterns a little bit and help you feel less constricted and insular. It kind of opens the door to your writing room and lets a little bit of air and light in. And if you're not working on a larger story, you're writing piece after piece of short work, absolutely, get it sent out to places, put it out in the world. It generally takes a while for places to pick up your work or respond to submissions, so let that process happen while you move on to the next story and the next. Now, you did mention the possible downside of it being a distraction, so let's think about that for a second. Sure, maybe it could be, but I think it's more of a useful distraction, if anything. Say you start a writing session and you just can't get going, or you're stuck on a story one day and it drives you to give up. Spending the remainder of that time pushing your other work out into the world, I think, is still a productive way to further your writing and gain experience. I don't think it would be as much of a distraction as something like starting another book while you're still halfway through the last one. It feels like a different sort of thing, a different task, and I think the two things can coexist, writing and getting your work out there. It's always great to have publishing credits on your bio, same with being listed for prizes and awards. Those kinds of accolades are out there waiting for you, and the sooner you feel comfortable chasing them, the better. Whether you find instant success or you have to push through some rejections, either way, it's still really beneficial to you as a writer and it helps fill out your experience level overall. Another extra tip is don't forget to ask for feedback or to tick the please give me feedback for an extra $5 box on your submission if there is one. That'll be helpful. Even bad, unhelpful feedback is helpful in a sense because it thickens your skin and quickens your resolve to prove them wrong. So yeah, emphatically yes, if you're up to it and you're proud of your work, get it out there. Thanks so much for your question and for your support. Great to have you, and good luck with your creative non-fiction.